job that
All right, it's 9 o'clock on this Thursday night. That means it's time for the Live Zone Prime Time.
We're back, baby.
We are back, baby. I'm producer Chris. This is Tony P. And if you've watched this show, you know the drill. If it's live and it's happening now, we'll bring it to you.
Yeah,
and also, you can join the show anytime. You see that QR code, you can scan it, you can join the conversation. Talk about the stories we're talking about, and obviously the big story tonight, Tony P, is the weather. But
the incredible snow
on that
is coming.
note, we just have to talk about the weather here for a hot second, because Mother Nature can be such a fickle mistress.
Yes.
And I had to choose my words carefully there, because I could have said the wrong thing. But today, temperatures like in the 50s. It was a gorgeous day to be outside.
Listen, they're playing with our minds. You understand that? This is how it works. You kind of, you get everybody excited, you suck them in, and then we just lay it over the top at the worst weather of this entire year so far.
The literal calm before the storm.
Thank God it was nice though. At least something. It gave me a little bit of heat.
At least it was something. It gave us something before we enter the suck salad
Hunker down.
that could be this weekend. First at 9, we are tracking that major winter storm that could potentially hit the DMV this weekend. Right now, you're taking a look at some of the preps that are happening across the region from utility companies. People are also out raiding the grocery stores, as you can imagine. It's been a little while since a storm like this has impacted the DMV. We were posting, because it's Throwback Thursday today, we were posting some throwback video from one of our last major winter storms here in the DMV back in 2016. State officials, road crews, power crews, all coordinating their responses, making sure they're ready for whatever old man winter throws our way. At the same time, though, like I said, people across the region also stocking up, hitting the grocery stores, the hardware stores, picking up food, picking up water, shovels, and ice melt.
Oh, I bought water, food, and I'm ready for it. So if I'm stuck in the house, I will have food and water.
Essentials.
Yes.
Maryland Governor Wes Moore scheduled to give an update on the state's storm plans tomorrow afternoon. Coming up on Fox 5 News at 10 here on Fox Local, we're going to have team coverage with Josh Rosenthal and Sydney Persing, taking a look at how our region is getting ready all across. Obviously, this is the thing that everyone has been talking about.
Yes. So in Virginia, Governor Spanberger actually, I think it was earlier today, declared a state of emergency. So we're basically fully on track. All the resources in Virginia. I think Maryland will do it sooner. They haven't done it already.
State of preparedness was one of the things.
Right.
That
was
I
yesterday.
had
Right. Right. So all the resources are being funneled. They're getting ready to go. This is going to be an all hands on deck for this storm. It's really interesting because this is very similar to what we had back at the beginning of last year in 2025 pre-inauguration. There was about 6-7 inches, then we had like about a 3-inch storm a few days later, and people were snowed in, schools were closed for about 4 or 5 days. So I mean, I'd love to know what's going to happen when they drop about 12 inches on us.
Well, luckily we have an expert on standby to talk more about the timing, the snow totals, where this storm is, where it's going. And it's appropriate that it's Throwback Thursday because Fox weather meteorologist Kiana Lewis is joining us now live. Right. And Kiana and I go way back because we worked together about 50 years ago. Is that right, Kiana?
It feels like it, Chris. It sure does. Great to be here with you guys tonight. And, Throwback Thursday, appropriately so, we have this big major storm. Thank you guys for having me on tonight. Fox Weather has been on top of this since the beginning of the week. So this is a big deal here where I am up in New York. But Chris, you and I go back. We used to be on the morning shows there in D.C. A great time.
It is a great time. And look, we're obviously here in the DMV, so we are focused on this storm's impact here in the DMV. But as you can see on that map behind you, this storm is impacting much more than just us here in the DMV.
Absolutely. I mean, we have 40 states that are under some type of winter weather alert.
Wow.
We're also watching this span over 2,000 miles. So diving into this, there's so many different layers and so many different chapters that we're going to be watching play out. A lot of this does start across the central and southern plains. We have a big ice threat that could lead to widespread power outages, and as well as even seeing a foot of snow for more than 10 plus states. So diving into this is all of the alerts. Of course, we're going to get into the DC, DMV area in just a moment, but we have winter storm warnings that are active now. This is the top alert that I think a lot of folks across the South, the Tennessee Valley, have to keep top of mind. This ice threat that will be in place, Nashville out towards central Tennessee, we're watching closely there. But then you head a little bit farther north, up the I-95 corridor, a big chance of seeing some snow, and we're talking prolific snow. There's a good chance of seeing at least a foot of snow in a lot of these areas. We'll watch the 10 states that will see that up from about D.C. all the way into about Maine. I think that's the zone that we're watching with this coastal low that pushes through. Trends are working on our side here with the snow, and a lot of the temperatures will set the stage for that. So as that kind of plays out, an area like D.C. will see temperatures in the single digits, teens. That starts at snow, but Chris, as we get into the later half of the storm, there is a chance for this to become more of a wintry mix that could lead to some ice conditions for you guys there too.
When you look at like this whole path and timing, what kind of snow could we see across the country in terms of thickness and just ability to kind of like be able to deal with it and shovel it? Because a lot of these states don't have, you would say, the Boston or New York level of shoveling capability and snow plows. So
He's basically saying that we here in the DMV can't handle our snow.
yeah,
Tiana.
well, it's true. Now let me ask you this: so what kind of snow can we? It's true. Now, what kind of snow can we expect, and what impact could that have on snow removal and this ice storm that we could see as well?
Tony, I think that's a great question because I was looking at the discussion. That's actually one of the things that pops off the screen to me. At some point in time, especially for an area like DC, I think you guys will be able to handle this. You do have snow ratios that start off very heavy and dry. So there's going to be a dry snow first. And a lot of that is because of the opportunity for the cold temperatures. That's the easy part. So if you can get out earlier in the day, say Sunday, and shovel through some of the snow, the fresh snow that's falling, you will have a better chance of clearing your pathways, clearing your streets.
Got it.
By the time we get to the end of the storm, all of this pink that's pushing in, that adds an extra layer of some wet snow. So that's going to be a heavier ratio where we have that wet, heavy snow that stresses the body. We often talk about, the opportunity for heart attacks. That's that kind of snow that we'll deal with on the back end of this as it kind of pushes north.
And, we've talked about the power crews obviously being on standby because that freezing rain, that sleet, that can obviously weigh down tree branches, it can weigh down those wires and create some of those dangerous situations, not just on the road, but also for power, heat, and things like that too, right, Kiana?
Yeah, I definitely think that's going to be an issue. You look at an area like the DMV, even Baltimore, up, the I-95 corridor, I think areas south will have a better chance of seeing that ice. So we're thinking central northern Virginia. That may come into a play for you guys there. Southern Maryland, St. Mary's County, for example, could see more of that heavier ice form on some of the power poles, some of the street lights. Trees could start to, bend with some of this ice. And I think that's going to be a problem, say, south of the Capital Beltway. If you're north of that, you're looking at the snow aspect as your biggest issue. But the ice, definitely to the south, northern Virginia, over towards southern Maryland.
Kiana, we know that Mother Nature, again, is very fickle, and Old Man Winter can be very grouchy out there. We've seen many times storms can diverge or can be lesser than expected. Is there any way or potential, based on your modeling, that this storm could partially go out to sea? You could see more wintry mix opposed to thicker snow? Or are we really just in the eye of the storm at this point?
I think for parts of the mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, we are just now entering into that forecast window. where the confidence is becoming pretty strong, and the fact that we could see some of these totals play out. One of the things that the models have been doing, they have been trending a little bit farther to the north. So I think at this point, one of the bigger questions is where that low sets up, and it hasn't even moved into the southern plains yet. So that's what we'll be watching. But also the totals, who sees exactly what? One of the things that I think we can make our best bet on is that at a minimum, we're seeing about 8 inches of snow. There's a good chance of about 8 inches to upwards of a foot. The question mark comes in where we start to see totals like this, 12 to 18 inches. Because this is the southern half of the system, I think a lot of that wintry mix, that ice, that sleet, will shave away at some of the totals for an area like DC proper. But Baltimore, I think, should be okay.
All right, my final question for you, Kiana, is obviously we are focused on the short term this weekend, how long that snow will fall, how long the snow will fall, and how much snow will fall. But not much relief on the back half of this either, because as we head into next week, the cold temperatures are sticking around, right? So this snow, anything that falls, is probably going to stick around for a little while.
Yes, absolutely. Unfortunately, this cold air does stick around well after, we see the snow move through in the weekend. We're looking at some of these temperatures, Chris and Tony, to fall back into the single digits once we already have snow on the ground. So what that means is our snow melt doesn't have a quick time frame of melting. We actually see snow that sticks around well into the middle, if not end of next week, because of these temperatures. That Arctic air makes a rebound and move right back in after this storm.
So here's my final question, more of a future outlook. Does anything about this storm, the approach, how the snow will interact, how it will fall, does that tell you any tea leaves for the rest of the month into the further winter and things of that nature, like what we could see going forward? Like, do you see a larger trend of more storms, or is this just kind of a one-off isolated incident?
I think at the moment this is a one-off isolated incident. One of the things that will stick around well until maybe even early, if not mid-February, is the cold temperatures. So
Got it.
with the temperatures sticking around, of course, if we get a nice, rich moisture, low, it does have the cold air to crank out snow. But there's no signals of that at this moment well into mid-February.
Got it.
All right,
good to
Kiana
know.
Lewis from Fox Weather, thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight here on the Live Zone Primetime. I miss you, but I love being able to tune in and watch you anytime, doing your thing up there in the Big Apple.
Listen, I miss you guys too. I wish you all the best with this storm. Of course, if you're tuning in and you want to see the big scope of things, make sure you tune in here to Fox Weather. We'll have the details.
Absolutely.
All right,
Have a great night.
Good. Have a great night.
And stay
we'll see
safe.
you next time. Exactly. Stay safe. Stay warm.
Good night, guys.
Good night. All right, Tony P. So, of course, Fox 5 is going to be your home for complete winter weather coverage. Like I already said, we've got continuing team coverage coming up here at the top of the hour on Fox 5 News at 10 right here on Fox Local. Mike Thomas will be back with his full forecast as well, all of the timing, all of the totals, the track of the storm, what to expect beyond that. And then, of course, we will have complete coverage throughout the storm as well. When that snow starts to fall on Saturday, all day Sunday, our special snow coverage is actually going to begin at 6 a.m. on Fox Local on Sunday. So we will have you covered no matter what. And I already made that personal promise that on Monday, if we are doing snow coverage still on the Live Zone Primetime Monday at 9 p.m., Tony P will be out in it.
Yes.
That is my promise. He will join us live
all
via
I
want
want is the jacket.
Snow.
I want a nice Fox 5 jacket, looking like,
Tony
Al
P,
Roker in the storm. That's what I want.
Line, buddy. Get in
Okay?
line.
I want one of those, not just on air. I want one permanently. But it was interesting. I had asked that question last because I always want to see if weather can tell us something, can it tell us a future projection. And it looks like with this cold hanging around, basically what Kiana was telling us is that there's opportunities for this to continue to grow.
But you're not wrong either. And Tucker has talked about this a lot too, where basically the atmosphere, and listen, I am no meteorologist.
No, neither am I.
I'm no weather, whatever, back in the day, you didn't even have to be one. You would just be like a weather guy. Anyway,
really?
I'm not
I didn't know.
There
I did
were
not
a
know
lot
that.
of anyway, that was back in the day. That was back in the day. Anyway, he said that basically Tucker has said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but that the atmosphere has like a memory, and it's like, so when you sometimes get these big storms, you get another one.
Oh,
pretty much
no.
right on the other. So Tucker can make it make more sense. Remember, Tick Tock Tuck. You can get his forecast
That's
there. You
great.
can also get Weather on the Go here on the Fox local app. We'll
very
have
well
you
done.
covered on all of that and more. Couple other headlines, couple other stories that we are following for you tonight that we want to get to. And this first one comes from Northwest DC. Stand by. This is where there was a mass shooting, for a lack of a better phrase, earlier tonight. Several people shot in Northwest DC. Happened around 6 o'clock at 16th Street and Military Road Northwest. DC police tell us 5 people were hit by gunfire. It may have started with an argument on a metro bus that spilled onto the street. We're told the victims are 3 adults and 2 juveniles. Everyone is expected to be okay. Police say they are looking for one suspect who fled the scene. The incident, as you can imagine, that is a major intersection in Northwest DC. Snarled traffic at the height of the evening commute. You see some of the road closures there in this video that we shot earlier. Closed down 16th Street Northwest in both directions.
Right.
Shamari Stone, he will be there. We'll have the very latest coming up tonight at 10 and 11 right here.
I mean,
on
that is
Fox
just like,
Local.
that's just so scary, Chris. I mean, I was, my office is in downtown DC. It's a couple streets down from 16th. I could hear some of the commotions a little further up from where I am, but you could hear some of the traffic kind of flowing downward because that street was closed off at the end. And just, I mean, just scary situation there. I mean, it's really, you know, thinking about, you know, the escalation again, like, you know, what this could have been. Thank God everybody is okay.
Yeah,
and it's just have to make a full recovery.
And luckily, hopefully, no other injuries on that metro bus. but-
Exactly. And having to be, you know, witness to that
Yeah.
is another layer of just, you know, absolute fear there. So again, sending prayers to everybody involved who had to witness that, and just a truly awful situation.
At the same time, we're also keeping an eye on a crucial vote in Fairfax County that's set for tonight. School board members will decide whether to amend school boundaries in Fairfax County. It's the first redistricting effort in decades. Superintendent Dr. Michelle Reed amended her initial proposal after getting feedback from the board and parents, cutting the number of students that would be impacted by this plan from about 2,200 to 1,700. The amended plan, designed to balance enrollment and school capacity to reduce what they call split feeders, where kids from one elementary school go to multiple middle or high schools. It also would eliminate what's called attendance islands, which are neighborhood pockets assigned to a school far from their area. However, one of the big concerns still, one of the big questions still being debated is bus service, because under a phasing policy adopted last year, some students can choose to stay at their current school despite those new boundaries, but Fairfax County Public School System has proposed not providing transportation for those students. That move would mean, apparently, it would save millions of dollars, apparently, but it leaves families to figure out alternative transportation on their own. Fox 5 Sharon Roget is following this story. She'll have an update on that vote coming up tonight at 10 o'clock. But Tony P., obviously, when it comes to school boundaries, this is one of those topics that, you know, parents are very passionate about, and it can have a major impact not only on just how kids get to and from school, but also, you know, whether they're in classrooms with their friends, whether, you know, there are so many, it even impacts, you know, their ability to play sports, because if kids are moving to different schools, sometimes that means they have to sit out a year of eligibility, which can have an impact on scholarships. Just major issues.
Well, and camaraderie. I mean, think about this. I mean, I have 2 elementary school teachers back home in Boston who are just absolutely incredible, aunts and uncles as well. And the biggest issue facing teachers now is not just the post-COVID educational gaps and reading issues and also behavior and attendance, but looking at the class sizes. These type of district moves where they change the boundaries, who can go where, which neighborhoods will constitute a certain school, that has a big impact on class sizes. And the studies are coming out now. The smaller the class sizes, the better it is for students to learn, especially now post-COVID, where there is still reading gaps and learning gaps. This is so important to get right, because the worst thing you want to have is a classroom of 35 kids where nobody's getting the attention that they need. The teachers are overwhelmed already with multiple classes of 35, 40 kids. And then we also have, for future building, this is a big important item as well. Which schools are going to get renovated, for example? Which ones will get expanded? Will there be new schools potentially based on these boundaries and population density and growth, right? And this is one of the biggest reasons why people say a lot of politics is local, and that voting in your local elections is so important, because your voice has an impact. We saw the amended proposal here based on constituent feedback, and that's whether you're talking about a state rep, or you're talking about a local city council or school board, that is where those decisions that impact every day of your life come into play. And that's why it's so important to really get involved, be a part of these meetings, vote in these local elections, because these things do matter. And again, with a county like Fairfax, which is very wealthy, there's a lot of great schools out there, it's not just a question of resources, it's a question of how do you allow kids who have been together for a long time, have been in these same classes, they take certain sports together or activities. How do you make sure you keep those things continuous for them while making sure that the class sizes don't overexpand or it's way too much for teachers? So it's a lot of things that balance, because the education of our youth is so important, especially now. So this
No
stuff does
question.
matter. It may seem like a little technical thing,
Yeah.
but this does matter to so
And
many
not
teachers
to make
well.
not to make light of it in any way, shape,
No,
or form.
no.
But one of my favorite T-shirts that I've ever seen, you may have seen this too.
Okay.
I'm again paraphrasing, but it basically said, "Voting in local elections matter. Remember that the mayor in Jaws 1 is still the mayor in Jaws 2." And I love that. Melissa
That's
Rosario.
really good.
Melissa
That is
Rosario
really
is in
good.
our Zoom room
She
tonight. Melissa,
she loved that comment. That
one
was,
of our loyal viewers. Melissa, how are you? Thanks so much for joining us. What's going on in your world tonight?
I taught 6 classes today. I spent about 3 hours looking for full-time work online, and pretty much got an offer today, but not sure. So let's
Okay.
see.
All right.
Cautiously optimistic.
Well,
Great
congratulations.
start to the new year.
We'll
We're
get
sending good
that
vibes, obviously.
manifestation.
I need all the juju I can get.
All right.
Right.
I'm tired of teaching fitness.
Are you prepared?
God bless you.
Have you raided the supermarket? Have you stocked up on all of your booze, your toilet paper, your water, your food, your bread, all of the essentials to ride out whatever old man winter throws our way?
Hell no.
Oh, are you
No.
not
I'm
going
still with
to?
you. I have
Or-
to. I have to Instacart tomorrow.
No. Listen, as a former New Yorker, we had supermarkets that remained open. Everything was open.
Right.
And sorry, but I'm single. I'm an empty nester, and I haven't used toilet paper since the pandemic.
Oh, that's right. We did learn that about you recently.
Yeah.
Bidets all day.
Whether you like it or not. And
Ooh.
yeah, I don't use toilet paper.
I want to get one. I want to get one in my
Oh,
house.
man.
That's my goal.
We're
Yes,
sending this
I-
show off the rails.
Also, Mayor Mamdani is going to put one in. What's it? Gracie Manor, Gracie Mansion. He's going to put a bidet in there. So you know what? This is a
Love
trend
learning all of
that is
this
starting to get
about
there.
our friends.
I think it's funny.
But I still have probably the 24 pack of Coronas left. I still have some alcohol left. I got snacks and stuff. I really don't
Okay.
eat much, but
Gotcha.
it's a blessing. I'm grateful to have everything that I need, and I'm very humble when I say I have received some type of support from my students. And so I'm sad. I'm ready to go outside and play in the snow. I'm sorry.
All right.
I love that. Now let me ask you this. So we were just talking about this whole Fairfax County issue, and I could see you were definitely like agreeing with some of the things we were saying. As someone who's has had interacted with the school system, had kids, been a part of this, let me ask you, like, do you feel as a parent who's interacted with this, do you think that class sizes are a thing that's an issue that needs to be resolved, or do you think, based on your experience, that we do have adequate class size and there is enough to really fully educate our kids?
If you would have asked me this type of question maybe 15, 20 years ago, I would have told you, listen, class size don't matter because kids actually respected teachers. But because of technology and kids, just doing their own thing and not respecting boundaries or staff members, it doesn't matter whether the class is small or not. There's a lot of parents out here who are soft parenting. There's a lot of parents here who don't apply discipline to their children in their household, so they bring that mess to the schools. My only concern, my biggest concern is that they're gonna target a lot of neighborhoods that are high in poverty, and not only that, you're gonna let kids, like you said, I've been going to school with my cousin or with my sister for a long time, and all of a sudden now we gotta get a kid because or what have you.
Right.
It's just not. It's not fair. But I blame it on technology and the soft parenting and the fact that today teachers, if they defend themselves, even if they get hit first, it's still their fault if they respond back. So whether the class is full or not, smaller or bigger, it all depends on how you bring up this child and how that child acts and responds when it comes to education in their school.
All
point.
right, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us. Hang tight. We'll check back in with you
Yes,
in a
we
little
will.
bit when we check in with our team from Legally Speaking because they need some feedback. In the meantime, Sandra is joining us live in the Zoom room. Sandra, it's been a little while since we've seen you. Welcome
Sandra, how
back.
are you?
Hi guys, how you doing?
Good. All right. So, are you ready for whatever Mother Nature throws? Have you stocked up on all the essentials, and are you hoping for some major snow this weekend?
I'm going tomorrow to the grocery store. I am kind of like, at this point, I'm kind of past it a little. Even though my kids are ready
Yeah, hoping for a
the
snow day, I bet.
Yeah, I'm not, unfortunately. I'm sick of old man winter. Like I'm ready for, less cover 'em clothes. I want to wear shorts and t-shirts.
Bring
But
on spring, Sandra says.
I love that. Now let me ask you.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. So again, for all the negativity around snow, believe me, I'm with it 100%. What is a really cool tradition that you have with your family during a snowstorm? Is it something that you make? Is it something that you do, or maybe there's a snow angel, for example, or a snowman, or is it just watching a certain movie that really gets you in the spirit just to help you ride it out?
Well, of course we go out. We go play snowball fighting. I let my dog Chop. He likes the snow. I've never seen a dog like snow so much.
Wow.
But yeah, he likes the snow. We go outside. We play, make snow angels, snowmen, whatever. And then we come inside. Drink the hot cocoa and watch Home Alone.
It's a must.
We,
Oh, perfect.
wow,
All right.
interesting.
We love
Keeping
it.
the Christmas tradition alive. I like
We
that.
love it. Sandra, thank you
Yes.
so much for joining us. We'll check back in just a little bit. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick break. This is a live picture from Joint Base Andrews, allegedly. You can kind of see the tail end of a plane, it looks like.
Looks like
we
it,
are
first one,
standing
yeah.
by. President Trump due to arrive back at Joint Base Andrews in just a little bit. We'll keep our eye on that. In the meantime, though, we are going to take a quick break, like I said, and when we come back, Tony P is going to talk to us about what he has been watching over the course of today, including some Oscar history.
Oh, yes.
We'll be right back.
Hey Melissa, how you been? Yeah, me too. Been it's been some time.
All right, welcome back to the Live Zone Prime Time. You are taking a live look at what I believe is Air Force One getting ready to arrive at Joint Base Andrews, the president wrapping up that first international trip of 2026. Tony, we watched him take off a couple nights ago. What we didn't see was that Air Force One had an electrical issue and had to return to Joint Base Andrews before the president flew out on a different plane. However, all safe, no major issues.
They had the backup plan. I didn't know they had that many backup planes. I'm like thinking that that's a lot of stuff. And
but the president due to arrive back at Joint Base Andrews any minute now. We'll keep an eye on this.
Yeah, because
first though.
Sorry. I was explaining more Air Force One stuff. So it's funny. So Air Force One is just a call sign. It's actually not a plane. So anything the president is on is Air Force One. It could be a regular commercial jet. It could be any one of those things. If he or she is on it and secure,
and
it's Air Force One.
Back in the day when Richard Nixon resigned, the plane that he was on ceased to be Air Force
when he left. That's
in the middle of the flight.
That's right, because Ford took the oath of office. Again, same thing when President Trump, when he lost in 2020 and left early 2021, he was already, the plane had changed. He was in Florida, and that switched over to Joe Biden's Air Force One. So very interesting stuff. I also realized you have to actually pay to be president, too. Some of the stuff, there's not all the costs are covered. Learned a lot of things when I read presidential history recently. But we're not talking about that tonight, because I'm just stonewalling here for some reason. So we're going to start here on Capitol Hill. Former special counsel Jack Smith testified today before the House Judiciary Committee, defending the prosecutions of President Trump back in 2024 and 2023, saying directly that President Trump is, quote, the person who caused January 6th, that the violence was foreseeable, and that Trump tried to use the chaos as part of the scheme to block the peaceful transfer of power after the 2020 presidential election. Smith also pushed back on claims that he, quote unquote, spied on President Trump, saying prosecutors used records like toll and communications data to build timelines and prevent obstruction. And he insisted the White House did not direct his decisions, meaning under President Biden when he was the special counsel. In a separate NBC interview clip circulating today, Jack Smith also warned that he believes Trump's Justice Department may try to indict him, framing it as retaliation and a chilling message to future investigators, unquote. In Minneapolis, Vice President J.D. Vance visited amidst major tension over the administration's expanded ICE crackdown. Vance praised ICE, blamed local Democratic leaders and far-left agitators, unquote, and said the Insurrection Act isn't needed right now. His trip comes as the city remains on edge after the fatal shooting of Renee Good involving an ICE agent, a case that is now under state investigation independently. And after ICE detained as well a 5-year-old boy recently during a raid in which the child's father was arrested. Very, very sad and disturbing case with the 5-year-old boy. Back in Washington, the House passed a sweeping government funding package today, about $1.2 trillion by a vote of 220 to 207, sending it to the Senate ahead of the January 30th deadline to avoid yet another government shutdown. The biggest fight inside the bill is immigration enforcement. It includes $64.4 billion for Homeland Security and about $10 billion for ICE, with Democrats warning it funds an aggressive crackdown without enough or any guardrails. At Davos today, the administration floated a Gaza initiative branded as the quote-unquote Board of Peace, pitching a leadership group to coordinate reconstruction and security of Gaza. But critics immediately pointed to unanswered questions about governance, funding, and enforcement. Also today, a new whistleblower disclosure says ICE issued internal guidance stating agents can enter homes without an administrative warrant, basically Form I-205, rather than a judge-signed warrant, as long as it's supported by a final order of removal. Legal experts say the constitutional issue is clear. An administrative warrant isn't the same as a judicial warrant under the Fourth Amendment. Now, in the world of business, Capital One is buying Brex for $5.15 billion, absorbing one of the biggest startup-focused corporate card and expense management platforms into the major bank. Remember, folks, Capital One bought Discover last year and merged as well, so they are on a spending spree. I don't know where they're getting the money from. Also in the business world, Berkshire Hathaway is doing the opposite of buying. They are moving towards exiting its huge stake in Kraft Heinz, effectively closing the book on one of Warren Buffett's most talked about misfires and one of his only misfires. Chris, that guy never misses.
The oracle and for a reason.
I got to tell you, I mean, I love Kraft mac and cheese. I don't really love mac and cheese, and I also love Heinz ketchup on everything. So I'm very sad about this.
You are so backwards there. I'm sorry.
I know.
Ketchup, garbage. Macaroni
What?
and cheese, perfection.
How about
Move on.
ketchup on eggs, my friend? For travelers, New York City is banning hidden hotel fees, forcing more transparency on mandatory add-ons as the city braces for a tourism boom ahead of global events like the World Cup. Mayor Zohran Mamdani made the announcement yesterday. In the world of Hollywood, it's awards season, of course, and one of the biggest came out today. The Oscar nominations are out, with Ryan Coogler's Sinners setting a record for 16 Oscar nominations. Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another followed with 13. And the Oscars are on March 15th, of course, hosted by Conan O'Brien. And there's also a new casting award this year that had 10 nominations in the fold. So sort of similar to how Best Picture's gone back and forth between 5 and 10 nominations. Also, Timothée Chalamet of the movie Marty Supreme is breaking a record at his age. He is the second actor in history to have 3 Best Actor Oscar nominations before the age of 30, just like Marlon Brando back in the 50s and 60s. Also in the world of Hollywood meets the UK, Prince Harry gave emotional testimony in his tabloid case today, saying the press made Meghan Markle's life, quote-unquote, absolute misery, and describing it as a long-running fight against invasive media practices in Britain. And finally, we have some good news for you. Researchers in South Korea built a soft exoskeleton shirt weighing under 2 pounds that can provide about 35 pounds of lifting assistance, designed as a wearable mobility and strength aid for those who have muscular degeneration or related issues. So, we had the CES interview last night talking about the cool technology that's good for the consumer. This is some really cool consumer technology. It's going to be very helpful for folks that have had injuries or muscular degeneration or certain disorders. Be perfect for these individuals. It's just so great to have those type of items.
I want to go back to the Oscars, though, for a
Yes.
second. Sinners, I still need to see it. And
You should.
I know. And our Marissa
Fantastic.
George is giving me a look right
Yes.
now. And I absolutely
Oh, yeah. There you are.
100% deserve that look.
What the heck?
But I'm planning on
I've
binging.
seen it. I've been good.
I'm
I've seen it.
planning on binging
my
all
God.
of the Oscar contenders.
Please do
coming
so,
up here
yes.
before the ceremony. But one of those nominations, in addition to Best Director, Best Picture, Best Actor for Michael B. Jordan, Delroy Lindo picking up a Best Supporting Actor nomination.
thank
I know
the
I haven't
good Lord
seen it yet,
that
but
man's got an
Delroy
Oscar nod now.
Lindo has been phenomenal in absolutely
Everything,
everything he
yes.
has ever been in. So if for no other reason, give it to him because he deserves it for his entire body of work.
Yes.
Not even if it's not just.
Okay.
They did it for Leo. They can do it
Right.
for Delroy.
Get Shorty. He played a great role in 1995. He was great in Malcolm X. He played one of the gangsters that Malcolm X
Everything.
ran with in the first part of the movie.
Everything.
He plays every role perfectly. TV, miniseries, everything. I mean, he's so versatile, and I think he's been not overlooked.
Yeah,
I think
he
he's
deserved
overlooked.
one for The Five Bloods, which was
Right.
the Spike Lee Netflix movie that came out a
Exactly.
couple of years ago.
Exactly.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to leave you with this live picture of Joint Base Andrews, where President Trump's Air Force One has returned after his international trip. Coming up next, though, you saw Marissa George right there. She is here along with the Entertainment Esquire, Jay Carter. They are bringing their hit
Yes.
show, Legally Speaking,
I love
to the
that.
live Zone Primetime. We're going to dive into the weeds of some of the biggest stories making legal headlines, not just here in the DMV, but all across the nation.
I'm ready to learn.
As
That's
well. We'll take a quick
I
break.
love the celebrity
we'll be
law
back
stuff.
in 2 minutes. Welcome back to the Live Zone Primetime. You are taking a live look at Air Force One that has just returned to Joint Base Andrews. The president wrapping up a international trip, a busy international trip, Tony P.
Made a lot of waves out there, I'll tell you. I mean, we're looking at whether it be the speech on Denmark and Greenland, and having also Canadian Prime Minister saying there's a rupture between Europe and the U.S., as well as the Board of Peace today. A lot of major developments, but there has been that, quote-unquote, I would call it a structure of a deal or concept of a deal to keep the Greenland issue at least at bay for a little while. So we may have averted some true catastrophe in Davos this week.
All right, well, we're going to keep a live look at that up here in the meantime. Tony P, there's the president coming off the plane right now, so we'll just hang on this for one more second. But while we take a live look at this, Tony P, remember the last couple nights we have been following a high-profile murder case right here in the DMV in Northern Virginia, the Brendan Banfield murder trial. Today was day 7. It was a supersized edition. If you want all of the details, we have a full podcast on Fox Local. Bob Barnard and Vernon Miles have been bringing us continuous coverage from inside the courtroom. But I will say that is just one of the high-profile cases that we have been keeping an eye on, and not just us. The hosts of Legally Speaking are keeping tabs on several others, including some cases from right in our own backyard in the world of sports and reality TV that are also making headlines nationwide. The hosts of Legally Speaking, we are talking about the Entertainment Esquire, Jay Carter, and the one and only Marissa George, who you may remember from Love is Blind, join us now live right here on the Live Zone Primetime. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So first and foremost, before we get into these cases, tell us a little bit about Legally Speaking. Tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you guys linked up.
Yeah, I'll start with.
Yeah.
No, you start.
Yeah, I'll start. Okay, so obviously she was a hit star on Netflix, Love is Blind. I knew she had graduated from law school. I've been practicing now for a few years. I'm an entertainment attorney. I'm in between DC and LA now. And I was like, I would love to have her on Entertainment Esquire. Like she, we're coming off of like getting ready to close out the season. And I kid you not, the day that I decided to plan an episode with her, Wendy Osefo was arrested. It was literally, it broke. I said, you know what? It is meant to be. It was meant to be. So we decided we would make the episode about the Real Housewives of Fraud. Yep. And so we did all the fraud cases for the Housewives. So Teresa, Judice,
Jen Shaw,
and Wendy.
And you know what? I mean, before we get too into the weeds, and I want to come back to this in just a second, but with your reality show experience, is there something about reality TV that turns people into criminals, or does it attract criminals?
I think it turns people into criminals. I think everyone thinks on reality TV stars are all very rich and living these glamorous lives, and I think especially with Real Housewives, they're expected to live a certain standard, and I think trying to keep up with that standard, especially in Real Housewives, is really difficult. And I think they just, fight or flight, trying to survive, commit some crimes.
Fight or flight.
I'm rhyming, dropping bars.
We're going to throw in alleged here.
Allegedly.
Alleged on everything we say. Now, before we get into it, if people have followed you on social media, Marissa, they know that you have been active in some of these high-profile celebrity legal dramas like the Diddy trial, for example.
Yes, I definitely have the docket, which I am kind of taking a hiatus on recently, but we'll get back into it very soon, where I do discuss some of the high-profile cases, and I got to cover it from my couch pretty much. But Jay actually was in the courtroom.
I was in the courtroom, so I would drive up from DC and I would just spend the day, and I would be, outside and just being in the jury box and with the audience, that was probably even more interesting than the trial itself.
Yeah.
But yes, we both have covered a lot of stories, and I was like, you know what? We should just join forces, and we're thinking of a name, and I'm like, well, we're breaking it down, so why don't we just say Legally Speaking? Legally Speaking. So it came together. So we're really excited to be with you guys for the next couple of weeks on Thursdays. We'll be here on Thursdays.
Join us, and we're going to talk about some really high-profile cases that they are keeping an eye on. And so the first one we're going to talk about tonight has it resonates with my friend Tony P. In case you don't
gotta
know,
win a Super
he
Bowl.
is from New England. He is a fan of the New England Patriots.
Yes.
And right now, one of the members of the New England Patriots, Stephon Diggs, is having some legal issues. Now,
Yes.
Stephon Diggs also has some ties here to the DMV, which is why we wanted to talk about this, because he was born and raised right here in Gaithersburg. So talk to us about what is going on, and from your point of view, where this case is going.
Yeah, so Mr. Diggs, not new to any legal drama, was just recently charged with a felony of strangulation or suffocation and a misdemeanor assault and battery. And so basically, allegedly, there was an incident between him and his private chef, and his private chef, and he apparently choked her out, slapped her in the face, and over some dispute over some money. So it seems like it was an employer, type of employee-employer dispute that kind of turned into something physical. And so she quit her job, and about 2 weeks after that, decided to file or go to the police and make a report about the assault.
So now it's time to make the case.
Yeah.
Make the case for the prosecution in terms of what they have going on, in terms of what are the best arguments for the prosecution, because it seems like it's a lot of he said, she said.
It is very much he said, she said. Unfortunately, there is not any video or photo evidence. I'm not sure about any witnesses. So right now, it's really the evidence that they have is the police narrative and the police report. So it really would turn into he said, she said. But if you look at the history of Mr. Diggs, it's not looking too good in my opinion. But with strangulation as well, it's not something the prosecution could definitely use. Hey, you won't be able to necessarily always see visible signs of strangulation.
Right.
So that will probably be something that they will lean heavily on, as well as the fact that this is a criminal case, not a civil case. She made this report. She didn't really want to at first. And so prosecution definitely will probably lean in heavy too. She could have just, if she was trying to milk him for money, which she's not, she could have just gone, and made a civil court case against this. Instead, she went to the police and made a report, and then they therefore pressed charges.
Now I'm going to make the case for the defendant.
Yeah.
So with Stephon Diggs, we have Cardi B, who was in the house. We don't know if she was in the house the day of, but she actually went on her Instagram saying, "Oh, I talked to the chef. I had several conversations with her. She never mentioned like being mistreated, not paid, and so she is like calling cap on this." So I don't know. Cardi B may be taking a stand. She's been taking her own stand on her own cases, but she may be taking a stand saying, okay, she's just upset that maybe she can't be with Stephon, or she wants him to invest money. A text message was revealed. She wanted money for her business.
Yeah.
She didn't just want her pay as a chef. She wanted money that he promised her investing in a business. So I think this could be like, oh, you thought the relationship was more than it was, and then when you realize it wasn't, and you just wanted, to get your money, that could potentially be an argument. Also, there are no photos of like the strangulation, but I know she's already countered my argument.
Countering with strangulation does not, especially he allegedly strangled her with the crook of his elbow, and so you're not really going to have that visible evidence. But she does claim that she almost blacked out and couldn't breathe. So
yes. So we shall see. He said, she said. So now it's time to weigh in on the verdict before we go to our second topic.
Well, Sandra's in the Lion Zoom room.
Yeah.
Not the Lion Zoom room, the Lion Zoom. The Lion Zoom room. I do always do this. Sandra, you heard the prosecution, you heard the defense. If you were on the jury, whose side are you taking?
yeah.
Oh, well, first off, I want to give a shout out to my boss, Shaniqua Hamlin.
Shout out.
She saw me on TV, so I just wanted to get that out there.
All right.
Love you, girl.
I love it.
As far as that goes, I mean, these types of trials and cases can get messy. Now, I stand on the fence on this only because, the evidence. You have to see the evidence, and you have to talk to everybody. Now, I feel like Cardi B, who's one of my favorite artists, I kind of feel like she shouldn't have got in it by talking to her.
Yeah.
I feel like
not very credible.
Somebody eventually is gonna get, put their foot in their mouth eventually. This is hard. It's hard. I mean, it's.
And Marissa forgot to mention she did go to the hospital, so there are no photos.
Yeah, I think so. I couldn't verify, but I think she did go to the ER, so that will also be helpful.
So that may be some of the evidence.
Let's see juror number 2. Juror number 2. Whose side are you taking?
Hell no. I'm sorry. He said, she said, he got money. Women, I'm sorry to say it, I am one, but women are really bad when it comes to this. You see a rich guy, you want to work for a rich guy, and things don't go your way, and now all of a sudden you want to sue them and you want to get all this money. Well, where's the video? Where are the bruises? What time and place? Was this consistent? Was there verbal abuse prior to this? Was there abuse or written, not being paid for her services in the past? Was there, consistency with it? So now all of a sudden you don't get paid. Now you want to make something up because, he got with somebody like Cardi B and had a baby, and you want to go ahead and blow this up. Where's the evidence?
I mean, I guess you can say that, but at the end of the day, this is a criminal case. It's not a civil, so she's not going to receive any money. I mean, later she could also sue civilly, but I mean, at this point, she could have just gone there and gotten the money. But the prosecutor's argument is
and here's the thing, because it is criminal, I think that's where they're going to fall short. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. There's so much reasonable doubt here. So unfortunately, even if he really did do what she said, not sure.
Our hung jury thing. All right, let's move on to topic number 2. We're down to less than the final 10 minutes of the show.
Yes.
And we brought up reality TV. Let's talk about Dr. Wendy.
Go for it.
Yeah, so Dr. Wendy, back in October, her and her husband were arrested for multiple fraud charges connected to their alleged robbery of their house while they were on vacation. And so at first they were really contesting the courts to have their trials separate, and one of our updates is that they're actually putting the trials back together. I think they realize that marital privilege doesn't work in this particular cases. If you're both working in furtherance of a crime, you can't say, oh, marital privilege, I don't want to talk. So I think it's for academic reasons, they put it back together. Another update is the 40 credit and or debit cards and supposedly fake names. I think it was Pam Oliver and Eddie Hennessy. These were the names that they were using. That was brought up. And it is. Eddie Hennessy is a very good name. And then last but not least, they want to go back 8 years. 8 years.
Into their financial records.
The court says that, yes, prosecutors can go back 8 years. So, yeah, I guess it's time for me to make the case. Okay, so I'm going to make the case. Okay, so the prosecutors are going to say, we have to go back 8 years because we want to show that there has been a pattern of fraudulent activity, that these people were financially in trouble. This is why they perhaps had to have so many debit and credit cards, and that this is what led to the desperation. Because you have to remember, fraud, you have to show intent. I think their biggest, and I'm kind of almost making her argument, is that they're going to claim innocent, like, oh, we just didn't know. So not knowing is not fraud. And so I think they're like, if we're really going to show the intent here, we've got to go back. Now, 8 years.
It's a little aggressive to go 8 years in my opinion.
So make the case. Yes. Make the case for the defendant. Make the case for Wendy.
My case is that this is a failed investigation. The prosecutors will definitely say, look, they're going after this couple who make a lot of money, maybe did come across some financial stress and burdens, but ultimately they could never solve the burglary, and so they decided to look into the insurance part of it. And I think that would be a good argument for them to use, as well as the fact that it's not going back 8 years to look at their financial history, a pattern of like the quantity of debit and credit cards is not illegal. It's really more how they used it. I think looking back 8 years doesn't make sense for something that took place, just 2 years ago or so. So
also, we were talking about earlier, it's not technically illegal to have 40 debit or credit cards. It may be excessive, but you can have it.
Not good management.
Right. Yeah. And Marissa made the good argument about as long as it's tied to a legal name. Explain that really quickly.
So basically, you can have as many credit and debit cards as you want, and you can name them under different things, like nicknames. You can have the card under your LLC, any business entity, or quote unquote alias. But as long as when you apply for those credit and debit cards, they're tied back to a real social security number, your name, and all that. And I believe that they are under their business, correct?
Right. Well, we don't know.
We don't know.
The evidence is going to come out, but that is the argument. So now we're going to turn it to you, our jury. Do you think they're guilty of, the cards, like in terms of like using them maybe for other reasons
Yes.
because there
Juror
are so many
number one.
aliases.
Was juror
Guilty,
number one,
guilty or not
Sandra?
guilty?
Going on.
I think they're guilty.
Oh,
Already
that was
covered
quick.
that.
She didn't even think about it.
That
She
was
didn't. Okay,
correct.
we want to hear it. We want to hear
On
it.
this side.
Okay.
I think they're guilty only because, I mean, if you set yourself up to put yourself in so much debt, and you live like you said, certain celebrities or certain I don't know, TV reality stars, they live up to their expectations, I guess, to stay in society, right? But if you gotta live that lavish and no, you can't afford it, and then you want to say, "Oh, I got robbed" or something, file for bankruptcy. I mean, at this point, it's too
It's an
much
option.
to
Chapter
be
7.
in the courtroom.
Yeah.
It's too much to waste your time because eventually they're gonna find out something, and if they find out something and that you didn't say, it's gonna be bad for them
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
But it
You know,
makes
but I
good
really think they're
TV.
guilty.
It makes good
they might as well
TV.
just
Makes
go
good
ahead and
All
file.
these
better
trials.
reality
Yeah.
TV. Juror number 2, what do you think?
Yes.
Guilty.
Oh wow.
A unanimous jury.
Oh my God, we have a unanimous jury today. Okay.
You start being dishonest and you know, that's like me, filing my taxes wrong. Somebody like me, I'll get thrown in jail real quick. Or if I, make a false statement to the police and they come back and investigate it, I'll get charges pressed on me. So why would they be any different? Because they, they got high status? No, absolutely not. When you start being dishonest and you start claiming that somebody robbed your house because you want insurance money or collect insurance money, it's the same thing as killing your spouse off so you can collect their insurance. No.
And they only got 25K. That's the irony in all this. They only got 25K. They didn't get the over 400,000 that they're being charged with. So.
Wow, and a lot of discrepancies in some of the findings at the house and like
Yeah.
Mistakes. As
there's
a
a lot of mistakes. So that could
She's
be-
wearing the ring and some other
Right.
things.
I
So.
think our 2 jurors are going to be writing books for these cases.
Potentially.
Now, more importantly, if people want more of Legally Speaking, where can they go to do that?
Well, they can follow us both on Instagram. We're going to be doing some recaps of these episodes, so they can follow us on Instagram.
Yes.
We'll give you guys some more information about maybe a separate platform where you can watch it
Watch it,
continuously. But for now, I am Ash J. Carter on Instagram, and you
And
are.
I am Rissa.George on Instagram and official_Marissa G on TikTok. And yeah, you'll be able to see us on our platform talking about this as well as being here for the next couple Thursdays.
Yes, we'll be here next couple Thursdays.
Yeah.
We're gonna learn some
Next
more.
Thursday,
Yes.
guys. Thank you so much for spending
Thank
time
you,
with us
everybody.
on the Live Zone Primetime. Thank you to everyone on our jury who joined in. Just a reminder, you can do that too. All you got to do is scan that QR code, and we'll do it again next week. Tony
Yes,
P,
we
we've
will.
made it through another show on
Another
this
one.
throwback.